Welcome to Donington Park and rounds 10 and 11 of the Bayliss and Harding Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. The drivers are back from their mid-season break. We're getting into the business end of the season now, and in the championship, there's everything to play for. Well, this wet and windswept summer's day at Donington Park is the first day back after a bit of a mid-season break for the Porsche Club Championship. Now, Tom Bradshaw was doing rather well beforehand, a little bit of bad mechanical luck, but he's on pole this time. Tom, how did you do over the summer? What did you get up to?
Not a lot really. Waited for the season to resume again. It's nice to have a bit of a break, but it felt quite long. But yeah, we had a really good qualifying session this morning, so feel fresh and ready for the race. Yeah, the timing sheet shows it quite a dominant qualifying session. In actual fact, you must be feeling pretty chipper going into this race. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to kid myself. I think a lot of people were choosing to save the new tyres for the race. So I used my new set. Granted, I only did 8 laps on them, so I managed to keep them reasonably fresh. But yeah, it's nice to have a fairly big gap in qualifying. It does help with the confidence.
A second place man on the grid, Adrian Slater. How did you find qualifying?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually think it was the fastest lap, but we've got predictive in there. I had a couple of kind of wild times, and it was a bit of a kind of, hope that the tyres will stick, give it, absolutely full throttle where you wouldn't be before. And it hung on. I looked down, we were just coming into the hairpin. I was kind of nearly 6/10 up on my previous best, and thought, okay, if we can just get through it. Of course, when you're up, you then make a mistake at the chicane, and I lost about 1/10 or so. But yeah, good. It was a bit of a wild ride, though, that's for sure.
You mentioned your tyres, and I noticed that your rain tyres are ready. It's a bit wet, dry, wet here today, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had that at where did we go and had that at Croft when we struggled. So they have decided today, if it's wet, they're definitely going to declare a wet race. So at least we all get to start on the same tyres and not be disadvantaged. So it'd be nice to have a dry race. I mean, I think later on today it'll be dry, but perhaps this one may well be wet.
Well, we might be a fair bit of the way through the season, but there is a new car here, the number 25, piloted here at Donington Park by Christian Ayres. And I understand this is your very first race. Are you nervous?
Yeah, very nervous, and now we just had a little bit of a shower. It's added a little bit more nerves, but yeah, qualifying went all right. I got home safe, and it all went to plan.
And what's brought you to motorsport? What's your background?
No, I've not done any motorsport or car racing in any form. But I did look at other series, Toyos and Championship and other series. But I decided to come to the Porsche Club because it's very competitive and it's nice, clean racing, and it's a good, friendly atmosphere in the paddock. Everybody gets on and everybody's friendly, and I've watched it on the touchline for the last couple of years, and decided to join it and just dip my toe in the water for this race and hopefully do a full season next year.
Well, really exciting stuff. Now, you're just a few minutes away from getting onto the grid for the very first time. What are you looking forward to? What are you worried about in the race?
Well, if it stays dry, I'd like to just pick up another couple of places if possible. That would be a perfect result. But to just hope and keep fingers crossed that it stays dry.
A warm welcome to motor racing and the championship to Christian Ayres, who lines up 20th on the grid. Pole position today going to Tom Bradshaw with Adrian Slater alongside, then Peter Morris and Mark Sumter. Row 3, Mark McAleer and Richard Ellis, followed by Jonathan Evans and Steve Cheetham. Chris Dyer and John McCullough, row 5. The Class 2 pole goes to Mark Coberley from David Bottrell, then Stuart Ings and Brian Robinson. Andy Toon next from Jake McAleer, then Hugo Holmes and Paul Seagrave. The grid completed with Gary Sullivan, Christian Ayres and Richard Higgins, completing the 21 car grid. Green flag at the back of the field and the lights are out. We're away racing. A great start by Tom Bradshaw. Adrian Slater to his outside. Behind him the Team Paragon teammate Mark Sumter is up and challenging as well. They're keeping it tight as they go down. It's Pete Morris on the inside. Richard Ellis makes a pretty good start as well. A little bit of a wide moment there for Stuart Ings, the second place man in Class 2. And we go in car with Peter Morris coming down the Craner curves, one of the favourite spots for British motor racing. A very daunting venue, Donington Park, for a debut. So Christian Ayres, with a little bit of rain in the air perhaps as well, has picked a very tricky circuit to make his debut. But of course motor racing's not for the faint-hearted, and he'll do his best as we go in car with Stuart Ings. That was the Martini livery car that we saw go a little bit wide at Redgate. So here's a sort out going on. 43 is Steve Cheetham in the black and yellow Boxster. Steve racing hard. You can see just how close this is on the opening lap. And we go back. 68 Richard Higgins in the 968, followed by the light blue 44 car of Jake McAleer. Looks like a pass coming down into the S's, and making the move there is Mark McAleer, the Richmond-based driver. The Northgate prepared car, the 996, goes through. Mark, having taken 2 podia at Rockingham, our last event, had fastest lap in race 2 there as well. And Mark starting to put a little bit of pressure on Jonathan Evans in the Phase 1 Boxster, the green car, who in turn was looking down the inside, going into Hollywood, but nothing doing. Still out front though, it's Tom Bradshaw, as we look at the battle between Jonathan Evans and Mark McAleer. Down to the old hairpin, onto Starkey Straight. From there, up into Schwantz. The race leaders already making their way around McLean's. The 2 Paragon cars are there. We've got Peter Morris running in 4th place. Back to look at the Jonathan Evans, Mark McAleer battle. Richard Ellis in car 10 is in front, and Evans is going to have a quick look. So out of Coppice and now down the straight in towards the S's to tick off another lap. Mark McAleer is there up ahead of Jonathan Evans now, and he's got to try and work hard to see if he can work out where to pass Richard Ellis. Richard in the Strasser prepared Porsche. The race leader getting away. We've got a challenge from Peter Morris on the inside of Mark Sumter, so he's going well. It's a job to know where to look. We've got battles going on absolutely everywhere here. Mark McAleer takes the wide line through into Redgate. Jonathan Evans chasing, and we go in car with the machine behind. Chris Dyer down through on the inside. Great pass by Dyer to make up a position. Jonathan Evans at the moment just slipping back a little bit, but it just goes to show how fiercely competitive this is. Still got Richard Ellis at the head of this battle. Richard, a double podium, double runner-up finisher in 2 of the 3 races at Silverstone. Back in car with Chris Dyer, the Cayman, Porsche Cayman. And he's trying hard at the moment to close down on Mark McAleer, who in turn is looking at car number 10, Richard Ellis. It is still Tom Bradshaw out front. Tom looking for his 4th win of the season. And this is the reigning Class 2 champion. John McCullough moves up with Hartech, his team, into Class 1 this year. John, a driver that we would expect to take an outright victory before too long in Class 1. He's been on the podium several times and running second in the Class 1 championship behind John McCullough. McCullough, so second in the championship. Pete Morris leads Class 1 on 294 points. Mark Coberley leading Class 2 on 262. Coberley second overall in the championship as we go aboard with the Cayman again. Chris Dyer working hard. That's the 3rd car in the trio coming down through the Craner curves into the old hairpin again. Mark McAleer a little bit too far back at the moment, having to get a little bit defensive now from the Strasser prepared Cayman. Here we go in car with Chris Dyer again, coming up into Schwantz corner, which they do now, into McLean's. McAleer's got the slightly tighter line on there. Here's John McCullough, the defending champion, North Allerton based driver, and he's starting to put pressure now on Jonathan Evans. Looks to the outside line. So it's Hartech machine chasing Phase 1 prepared car. McCullough goes to the outside line here on this long straight. He's going to have to get across. The ideal line is to be on the inside, which is where Evans is at the moment, but McCullough's got the speed, goes through, makes the pass, and I think he knew that he had the momentum to go past Evans there. Meanwhile, this is the battle for second place, and it's Mark Sumter who's second now in 77. Peter Morris challenging him. Adrian Slater at the moment in 4th place. This the view from the 4th place car. Adrian Slater qualified 2nd for Paragon. He's dropped back a couple of places, some having come through. The championship leader Peter Morris having gone through as well. And there's the 27 car currently running in 4th place. The race leader Tom Bradshaw is away, and of course the disadvantage for Tom is that if he's on his own and getting away, we're not going to get too much coverage of him. But made a terrific start, and Tom Bradshaw with the fastest lap of the race as well, 1 minute 14.7, and they're averaging, knocking on to 100 miles an hour around here. 64 is Brian Robinson, and Stuart Ings behind him. First time I think we've seen Brian Robinson this year, and Brian at the moment running 2nd in class. So this is the battle for 2nd place in class. Mark Coberley is up ahead of those. Here's the battle then for 2nd place, and Peter Morris is challenging Mark Sumpter as they come down to Redgate. He's too far back at the moment, but this is a workmanlike performance as ever from the championship leader Morris, whose best lap was a 1:15.739. He's got the pace. Can he catch the 2nd place man though? Welcome back to round 10 of the Bayliss and Harding England Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli, and we're looking at the car of Richard Ellis ahead of Mark McAleer, and then the Cayman of Chris Dyer, who's got a little bit of damage there. Down behind him is John McCullough, and McCullough still hasn't lost Jonathan Evans. Jonathan's still there in his Boxster and comes offline. The green and white car towards the back of shot. Mark McAleer is going to take a sweep here at Redgate. I'm not quite sure how far back he is and whether he can pull off this move. He's not too far back. He may well go for the inside line on the exit. Certainly closed up at the moment on Richard Ellis, who's leading this battle. So Richard Ellis, and this is the battle for 5th place, by the way. Remember, we've still got Tom Bradshaw out front. Peter Morris and Mark Sumpter arguing over 2nd place, and then Adrian Slater in 4th. Richard Higgins in the yellow 968. We've got Jake McAleer, who's coming through well, chasing him, but Mark McAleer, Jake's dad, putting the pressure on Richard Ellis. So the Northgate prepared car, he's working hard, Mark McAleer, exceedingly hard, but at the moment just can't find a way past. The Cayman still up ahead of the Boxster of the defending champion, and this is the battle for 2nd place. Mark Sumpter's there at the moment. Peter Morris, the championship leader, is piling the pressure on. Let's go in car with Peter. Is he going to have a look to the outside line down into Redgate? Yes, he is. Sumpter holds the inside line. That'll compromise his speed a little bit. He comes out, you can see, towards the outermost part of the entry to the corner to get as much speed as he can in. So the Paragon car, and off goes Steve Cheetham in 43. The Boxster stranded in a very precarious place coming into the S's. Thankfully, everybody negotiates the car successfully. As we go back to the scrap for 2nd place, McAleer seems to have made a much better run down the hill, so he's away at the moment, secure in 2nd position. On the inside goes Stuart Ings. A cracking battle going on between this pair, and Brian Robinson goes back into 2nd position again. Robinson racing in the 968, Stuart Ings in the Boxster, and back to the scrap for 2nd place. So again, race leader Tom Bradshaw is away. Fastest lap in class 2 is Mark Coberley. We haven't seen anything of Mark Coberley so far, but he's on his way to another win. Remember, picked up his first class win earlier on in the season. Since then, it's been no looking back at all. Richard Higgins there in the yellow car is currently running in 5th position in class. Jake McAleer behind him in light blue is 6th. 7th place is Paul Seagrave. So here comes the battle between Richard Ellis and Mark McAleer. This has been raging all race long, and now when Mark McAleer looks in his mirrors, he's got John McCullough in car number 1 there. So the defending champion coming through. Look at the speedo as they come down the Craner curves in excess of 100 miles an hour as they come through there. And off goes Off goes McCullough and across the circuit. That's a worrying moment for John and anybody else coming down the hill. He's lost the front. It looks like Richard Ellis and company have gone through, I think, safely. Here's the battle for second position, which still rages on, and Peter Morris is working hard, but he just has not been able to find a way past Mark Sumpter so far. Sumpter, double winner at Rockingham. 2 podia to open the season, took a win at Croft as well, took a 7th and the fastest lap at Croft. And here comes the championship leader. They're going to get up into the Class 2 traffic very shortly. So this might be an opportune time, side by side along the straight. This is the run down into Redgate. And Mark Sumpter has to keep it tighter. And that was a great pass by Peter Morris. The championship leader goes through into second place, manoeuvre completed. But Mark Sumpter might be rubbing his hands together metaphorically, because there are back markers coming up. So the Class 2 boys, there's the detritus from the number 1 car, John McCullough, who has rejoined. So a spirited recovery from John McCullough. Jake McAleer, begging pardon, goes through shot, so he's going to be lapped before too long. But look at Mark Sumpter now. Now Mark Sumpter's not got the defensive pose anymore. He can adopt the aggressive pose and start to go for the optimum racing line and try and find his way back past Peter Morris, who of course has had roles reversed. He's got to potentially go defensive now. This is what Mark Sumpter can do in attack mode. Looks to the outside line. Peter Morris, second place in the race, is just in front of us. Tom Bradshaw is away and down the road. Sumpter closing up, and he knows if the back... Oh, look at that, bouncing over the curbs. The second place car, which unsettles it. And this is going to allow Sumpter to try and draw level. Here we go, in car with Sumpter. He's pulling level. Is he going to be able to get across and into Redgate? Back in second position. Back markers again looming. Lights ablaze from Sumpter. But a great run down the straight and into Redgate by Peter Morris. Retains second place, but he goes wide. And Sumpter pops the Paragon car on the inside line. They're side by side down the Craner curves. This requires great respect from both drivers. And Peter Morris, the championship leader, comes back through into second position, reclaiming it from Sumpter. Wonderful piece of motor racing you've just witnessed there. And there's the number 1 car. McCullough, as we said, back on track. Jonathan Evans is there in 35. Goodness me, that was a wonderful piece of racing. And you can see now that Peter Morris is getting stuck into the back markers, and as a result he's building a little bit of a lead over Mark Sumpter. So Morris comes down the straight past Jake McAleer into the S's. Mark Sumpter is now 2 cars behind, and it looks like Peter Morris is going to grab a second place. He's finished every race so far this year on the podium, Peter Morris, the Tamworth based driver. He's had 3 wins, 4 fastest laps. He's been very fast, very, very consistent. But here's Tom Bradshaw, the race leader, who's been even faster than Morris in this one and set the fastest lap on lap 17. The Hartech man, so it's Hartech, Strasser second, Paragon at the moment third and fourth, Strasser in 5th place, and Northgate with Mark McAleer in 6th. So the spread of teams throughout the field is absolutely brilliant. And down into the S's for the last time comes the race leader, chasing Mark Coberley, who I think is going to have to do another lap. So Mark Coberley, the car in front, is the man leading Class 2. Our first glimpse of him in this race. Through goes Tom Bradshaw to take the win, his 4th win of the season, his 3rd fastest lap. So Bradshaw from Peter Morris, Mark Sumpter and Adrian Slater 3rd and 4th, Richard Ellis 5th from Mark McAleer, David Bottrell 7th from John McCullough, Jonathan Evans in 9th, and Mark Coberley takes the Class 2 win from Brian Robinson, then Stuart Ings and Andy Toon, Richard Higgins 14th from Jake McAleer, Paul Seagrave, Hugo Holmes and Christian Ayres.
Race winner Tom Bradshaw, well, a dominant drive, many congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It went all according to plan. Car was perfect, so it was just a case of driving at my own pace really, and driving my own race out of the front, and yeah, it was mega.
And I mean, you got a good start, and you just didn't see the rest of the pack for the rest of the time, I imagine.
Yeah, it was a pretty good start, and then yeah, just stuck with it really, and controlled the pace. Backed off for a few laps, but the tyres didn't feel to be degrading at all, so pushed on again, and yeah, it was just playing with the pace of it really, and enjoying the car.
And I guess you've got the luxury there of having been able to spare the tyres a little bit so that they're still fresh for race 2.
Exactly, yeah, that was the plan all along, and we were lucky enough to have a bit of pace in our pockets in qualifying. So we're then it gives us the upper hand with tyre management. So yeah, it was nice.
Well, Pete Morris, I mean, that was a proper battle you had there with Mark Sumter.
Paragon sandwiches as usual between Mark and Adrian, but what a cracking race. I mean, Mark, best it was me and Adrian, then I managed to get me and Mark got past Adrian, but what a race, and fair play to us both. We both respect our drivers, and we had a cracking race, and to get second, I mean, I was well deserved second. It was hard work.
You finally got him on the way into Redgate down there. I mean, you were trying left side, right side. How do you think it was you pulled it off?
What it was, I was taking third gear into the chicane, so I dropped it to second and just got that extra 2 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour just to pull alongside him. And fair play, he let me in. I mean, I was going to chop his nose off anyway, but he knew I was coming in. But I nearly lost it back to him on the second lap because I outbraked myself down the straight and I had to take a lot of curb. So that was a bit of a moment.
Well, third place man Mark Sumter, I mean, what an epic battle you had there for a while.
It was fantastic, and it was a shame because it finished with some back markers we tripped over some back markers, and it was just who was going to get them at the point. But we were side by side as we went down to the Craner curves and stuff like that. It was really good fun. Really enjoyed it.
And you were side by side on the way into Redgate more than once.
Yeah. His car is so much better than mine out of the last corner. So he'd get the drag on me and pull 2 or 3 car lengths every time. So I just had to hug the right-hand side and make him go the long way round. But one time he just got his nose under. So yeah, we didn't see Tom. No one saw Tom, but it was a good race, for the rest of the places. Yeah.
Well, Class 2 winner Mark Coverley, congratulations.
Hey, thanks very much.
It was quite a race. I guess you didn't have it all your own way all the time.
No, it was actually quite action-packed in places. There were cars spinning in front of me and bits of bodywork flying all over the joint, and so I was really trying to keep my eyes peeled because you can lose a lead in a blink.
And there was quite a battle going on behind you for the rest of Class 2. I guess that probably helped you, really.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, people are fighting. It slows them up a little bit. So I sort of tried to get ahead a little bit and then manage the lead, not to overcook the tyres. So yeah, it all came good in the end. I was very pleased.
Well, reigning champion John McCullagh, you've brought your car back, but it's a few inches shorter than it was at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, quite an eventful outing, that one. We struggled a little bit in qualifying for grip. So we softened the car off, anticipating some wet weather, and the storm came. But as it dried out, then things were a little bit loose, and we got a little bit out of shape on Craner curves, which meant to exit through the gravel. And Chris Dyer gave me a nudge on the front end, which took off the front bumper. So thankfully finished all in one piece, but a bumper missing from each end.
Well, Jake McAleer, you're the youngest guy in the paddock in your first season in motorsport. How are you finding it?
Well, I'm really enjoying it, to be honest. I mean, every race has just been an experience. I mean, we've had wet, we've had dry, and like a race like just then where you're in a constant battle. So it's just been a great experience, really.
What are your hopes for the rest of this weekend? You've qualified okay, and I guess you'll be looking to move even further up Class 2.
Yeah, well, main aim for this race will be to hold station at least, because last race we lost the place from our start and grid position, which wasn't helped by lost 4 places off the start line, so which has been a problem all season. So we're looking to get a good start here and at least maintain grid position, I guess, and then move up if just see how the car's feeling, really.
The battle for the championship's really reaching this crucial stage. Stuart Ings, you're currently second. It's very tight around you, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Andy Toons, he's really piling on the pressure. He was in front of me this last race, and unfortunately, he ended up in the gravel. So that gave me a jump up there, up to third. So that helped.
Now, you're getting regular podiums, and that's where your points have been coming from. But we have got a regular winner starting to emerge in Class 2.
Yeah, Mark's he's doing well. He's a seasoned racer, but as soon as he got his first win, it seemed to follow on, and he's got a lot of confidence now. So have to try and get in front of him somehow.
So, Steve Cheatham, you've been having some mechanical problems. What's up?
Well, we had a problem coming into the chicane down there. The power just cut completely. It just went, no power. And I spun, tried to get it going, there was just nothing.
Is that what happened? We saw you spin, we didn't realise. That was because you lost power.
Just complete power, and ABS went everything, so I just lost it into the corner. And we tried to get it going, nothing. I was sat there for a minute or so trying to get it going. Eventually it went, and I drove it into the pit lane. There was just smoke bellowing out from under the dash. So unfortunately there's a load of wiring burnt out on the dash, so it's terminal, unfortunately. We won't be out this afternoon. He's got it in pieces. So.
Oh, that's a terrible shame, even despite your expert mechanical help
here.
Who is your new helper here?
Joseph. He's a little budding racing driver, aren't you? But yeah, I think it's a shame it's not happening for us on track at the moment. But we'll come back at Alton Park stronger, hopefully. So see what happens.
Tom Bradshaw starts on pole position for round 11 of the championship. Peter Morris alongside, then Mark Sumter and Mark McAleer. Adrian Slater and Richard Ellis row 3, followed by Jonathan Evans and Steve Cheetham. Chris Dyer and John McCullough next. David Botterill and Class 2 pole sitter Mark Coberley. Second in Class 2, Brian Robinson from Stuart Ings. Then Andy Toon and Jake McAleer. Paul Seagrave and Hugo Holmes. Gary Sullivan, Christian Ayres and Richard Higgins complete our grid. So it's an all 996 front row. The two 964s on the insides of rows 2 and 3 respectively. We've got the green flag at the back of the field and ready for the Bayliss and Harding Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli about to get underway. Great start then. Very well off the line by Tom Bradshaw from pole position. But Bradshaw is losing ground. Well, he got off the line well, but maybe problems with gears. He's dropping back. We've got John McCullough chasing him on the outside. On the inside line, it's Jonathan Evans. Now, round Redgate, normally get a couple of cars going wide, but everybody staying within the confines of the track, so a good start by all concerned as far as Redgate goes, but disappointing from Tom Bradshaw. And are we going to see a charge through the field now? There he is in car number 2. It's going to make getting a double even more difficult. Here we go, in car with the Hartec racer, looking once again at Jonathan Evans. Up into Schwantz. Evans has got the line around into McLean's. Leaves the door open a little bit there. And Bradshaw's going to try and pop through on the inside as they head up towards Coppice. He's got the line and indeed has got the position. So Bradshaw's recovery, well, it started straight away, didn't it? Once he got up into top gear, he was all right. As we look at 24, Hugo Holmes, the Class 2 968. I think going off there was Gary Sullivan in the Boxster into the gravel. That may well mean a safety car, because the car in a precarious position as the race leaders come across the line, and it's Peter Morris from the 2 Paragon racers, Mark Sumter, Adrian Slater right behind him. The rest of the field, aside from Gary Sullivan, have survived the first lap. Mark McAleer now goes up into 3rd place. A wide moment there from Tom Bradshaw. He's getting stuck in. A brief moment with Chris Dyer in the Cayman, but confirmation we have got the safety car coming out to attend to Gary Sullivan's car. Adrian Slater challenging Mark McAleer, and no overtaking once they've picked the safety car up, of course. Gary Sullivan's car now cleared. Sadly, Gary out of the race. But we're about to resume with Peter Morris leading from Mark Sumter, 996 leading 964. Mark McAleer in his 996 in 3rd position, the white car with the black stripes. And already notice of intent from Mark Sumter, who goes to the outside line down at Redgate. Might be too far back. Clearly he's not worried about leaving the door open for Mark McAleer. Adrian Slater's in 4th place. Then it's Tom Bradshaw in 5th position. Off the circuit, I think, was Jonathan Evans in 35. Looked like a flash of white and green. But it's 5 cars effectively in this lead group. Slater goes wide, and that's going to allow Bradshaw to come through. Adrian Slater off on the grass, kicks up a bit of dirt, loses momentum. Coming through now is Richard Ellis. So Slater back to 6th place. He was racing hard, as indeed is his teammate. Mark Sumter piling the pressure on Peter Morris, the championship leader, out front. All action in the Bayliss and Harding Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. On board with car number 1, John McCullough, repaired after race 1. And working hard, Mark McAleer is piling the pressure on these two. Mark Sumter in 2nd at the moment. Sumter's thinking about having a look at Peter Morris, the race leader. Tom Bradshaw in 4th position. They come out of the S's and onto the Tom Wheatcroft straight, and McAleer's making a move. Mark McAleer comes out of the slipstream, goes to the outside line. This is all about getting the job done before you get into Redgate. You can go side by side, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And McAleer made a great move, had plenty of momentum. He's got his nose in front. Mark Sumter, seed, 2nd position. Was there a bit of contact there between the two? I don't think so. I didn't see any jinking of the cars, but it was mighty close as they went into Redgate, down Hollywood, into the Craner curves. And Mark McAleer, who was 6th in race number 1, up into 2nd. Bradshaw follows through as well. Mark Sumter's down to 4th. Here's the view from Sumter, and it's not his teammate who's behind him at the moment. It's Richard Ellis in car number 10. It's effectively 6 cars in the lead group. Only a small gap back from Mark Sumter to Adrian Slater. Tom Bradshaw kicks up a little bit of dirt, running a bit wide there, but out front Peter Morris looking to maybe pick up another win. The Tamworth-based driver looking for his 4th win of the season. Took a win in race 2 at Brands Hatch, 2 wins at Silverstone, ever present on the podium as we said in race number 1. Very fast, very consistent. McAleer's fast and consistent as well, former champion. But now look at Adrian Slater, who was putting the pressure on Richard Ellis, but Ellis getting away from him just a little bit at the moment. The 2 Paragon cars with Richard Ellis, the meat in the sandwich, as the race leaders go down into Redgate again. Tom Bradshaw starting to put pressure on the 2nd place car, Mark McAleer. That's going to take the pressure away from the race leader, Peter Morris. Jake McAleer and Hugo Holmes engaged in a scrap, I think over 5th position in class at the moment. Down behind them is Richard Higgins in the yellow car, Paul Seagrave behind them as well. Jake, as we heard, 1st year driver. Up ahead of them, Jonathan Evans, who's recovered after the off in the Class 1 Boxster. They go along. Starkey still very much involved, but here's what's happening with the lead battle. Peter Morris still leading, Mark McAleer 2nd. Back to Richard Ellis and Adrian Slater. This is really enthralling stuff. The race leader's got a bit of a gap, but now is a move from Tom Bradshaw, who looks at the inside line. Thought he was going to maybe go for a lunge down into the S's, too far back. So the Hartec prepared car stays in 3rd place. But he knows time's on his side. Bradshaw, what's he going to do? He's going to look to the inside line. He's keeping it tight at the moment. McAleer fairly defensive, but not overly so. Nevertheless, it will compromise his exit speed a little bit. More of a racing line from Bradshaw might give him more momentum to perhaps pop in a move either down the curves or into the old hairpin. We'll see what Bradshaw can do as we go in car with him again. That extra momentum seems to be paying off. He's drawing level and goes through into 2nd place. Well thought out move by Tom Bradshaw, who goes into 2nd place. Jonathan Evans having problems, goes off. We just saw the Andy Toon car going through, so Andy Toon goes through in front of him. He has rejoined, still in front of Jake McAleer. Hugo Holmes is next with Richard Higgins in the yellow 968. So some good battles going on in Class 2 as ever. Here's Andy Toon, 3rd in the championship behind Stuart Ings and Mark Coberley. Mark on 262 coming into the round, 20 points clear of Stuart Ings. Andy Toon on 233. So close between the lead trio, with after Donington Park another 5 races to go in the championship. Hugo Holmes still up ahead of Richard Higgins, 6th and 7th in Class 2 at the moment, and this is interesting times for Jake McAleer, who's trying to close in on the Class 1 machine of Jonathan Evans, running 10th in class at the moment. Just the one retirement in the race so far, which is Gary Sullivan. So down the straight we go. Andy Toon in car number 4. You can see Brian Robinson and Mark Coberley up ahead of him. Stuart Ings is leading the class at the moment, and Stuart looking for his 3rd win of the season. If he can grab a class win here, it's going to be his first one since Brands Hatch, where he took the double, 10th overall in class win in race 1, 8th overall and first position in class, as the battle hots up now between Richard Ellis and Adrian Slater. Join us after the break for more. Welcome back to Donington. We're looking at the lead battle here in round 11, and great exit from the S's for Tom Bradshaw, who's side by side with Peter Morris. The run down the Wheatcross straight into Redgate. Looks like Morris could hang on here, but hard on the brakes they go. Still side by side. The championship leader knows that if he comes second in this one, it's still very good points, but he wants the win. Bradshaw goes wide. You can see great racing from Morris, who really gave him room there, kept it tight, and Bradshaw's got to work out another place to try and go past. Very clearly, Bradshaw seems to have the speed. He's been setting the fastest laps again, looks at the inside line there again as they go into McLean's up towards Coppice, but at the moment he's having to content himself with that second position. Back on board with Bradshaw. We've got Mark McAleer there as well. You must not discount Mark McAleer, who wants to get involved as well. He's back in third place. Fourth position still Mark Sumter. Up into Coppice they go. Now just wondering how defensive Bradshaw's feeling. Not very at all, because he goes down the inside. And this is the view from Peter Morris, the race leader at the moment. He looks across and he'll see on his inside line Tom Bradshaw, who looks for a double, goes through into the lead, hard on the brakes into the S's, which he survives and emerges from the S's in lead position. So Tom Bradshaw leading, Peter Morris second, Mark McAleer in third, and Bradshaw is trying to get away and down the roads, right the way back out, full racing line down into Redgate. You can see that Morris slightly defensive from Mark McAleer in third place. Where's Mark Sumter? Is he closing up on the battle as well? He hasn't lost touch and he's still there. So effectively, 4 cars contesting the lead. 3 of them, the first 3, closer. But Mark Sumter is working hard to try and reel them in as we enter the second half of this race. 25 minutes expected to produce 18 laps of action by my calculations. And this is the view from Mark Sumter. 4th position at the moment and trying to reel in Mark McAleer. Bit of dust being kicked up there, so Tom Bradshaw, Hartech prepared driver, leading from Peter Morris, from the Strasser team driver, Mark Sumter for Paragon, and Mark McAleer for Northgate. Here's the view from Stuart Ings, who in his Martini liveried Boxster, another Hartech driver, as you can see, is leading Class 2, and this is going to do wonders for second position in the Championship Class 2. He's going to extend the lead that he has over Andy Toon and close in a wee bit on Mark Coberley. Mark's got the fastest lap of the race so far though, so Stuart thus far this year, can't recall having a fastest lap. He has had one DNF sadly, but down the straight goes the chaser here. Is John McCullough chasing David Botterill. And John McCullough a little bit further back than we're used to seeing him. And this is the view as he chases David Botterill, who's in 7th position in the orange and white machine in front of him. And down behind them, it's the Chris Dyer Cayman. As you can see, Peter Morris has not given up the chase for the lead, and Tom Bradshaw still being put under pressure. And in fact, despite the fact that apparently they're dicing with each other, they're pulling away from the scrap for 3rd and 4th. So Mark Sumter and Mark McAleer. Mark McAleer at the head at the moment in 3rd place, but we watch Tom Bradshaw being put under pressure by Peter Morris. He gets a much better exit out of the S's and comes across the line once again, but Peter Morris wants the championship points. He wants to take the win as well. Back with this 3-way scrap between David Botterill, John McCullough. John McCullough gets a fantastic exit from the S's and almost draws level with the number 8 car of David Botterill. He's offline at the moment. Botterill gets a little bit more momentum going down the straight. Coming up the inside line is Chris Dyer. Dyer looking for 9th position. At the moment, he's going to have to settle for 10th because he's down behind McCullough, who again goes to the inside line, side by side with David Botterill. So David Botterill really driving well here. and fending off a very typically close battle here, with the three different types of Porsche all racing hard. Botterill in the 964, McCullough in the Boxster, Dyer in the Cayman, but back to Mark Sumpter, who's now got himself up ahead of Mark McAleer. So we're looking at the new third place man, Mark Sumpter. Peter Morris and Tom Bradshaw, I think, some way away, and we might see them go through shot. Yes, indeed, there they do through the S's. Well, Mark Sumpter's made an improvement on the race result. Sorry, Mark McAleer's made an improvement on the race result from race number 1, where he finished in 6th place, an improvement of 2 positions. As getting stuck in here, Mark Coberley and Jonathan Evans. Got Andy Toon there as well. Andy Toon at the moment is running second in class. David Botterill still ahead of his battle, and the Cayman goes through on the outside, but John McCullough's got the inside line into Redgate, and he's going to reclaim 10th position, or 11th position, I beg your pardon, as we get a view of the Class 2s. So Brian Robinson running second in Class 2 at the moment in the 64 car, the black car. The machine ahead of him is Stuart Ings, who leads the class. And then we've got Mark Coberley just a little way behind, but we've got a good scrap here for the Class 2 lead. And Brian Robinson, in his first outing of the season, second place in class in race number 1. It looks like he's on course to maybe repeat that and possibly add a win to his cannon in his first meeting if he can get close enough to have a go. But meanwhile, the overall lead and the Class 1 leader, Tom Bradshaw from Peter Morris, out of Hollywood for the last time, back with the race leader in the Class 2. A bit of damage on the front for Stuart Ings, but he looks in good shape other than that. Jonathan Evans is behind them as well. Jonathan running 10th in the Class 1s. So here's the Class 2 leaders about to come on to the end of lap 17, onto lap 18, which the timing screen tells us will be the last lap. The race leaders, meanwhile, some way ahead of the Class 2 battle, as we would rightly expect, are led by Tom Bradshaw. Bradshaw from Morris, and Tom Bradshaw's going to take a double this weekend, barring any problems on the last part of the lap. Peter Morris will extend his championship lead. Now, with Mark Sumpter in third, by my calculations, that's going to put Mark Sumpter up to second in the championship table. But here they come into the S's. Bradshaw looking for his 5th win of the season, has successfully negotiated the S's and goes through to take that win. Peter Morris again maintaining a 100% record, not only in terms of finishing but also on the podium. Bradshaw from Morris, Sumpter in 3rd, McAleer 4th from Ellis, Adrian Slater 6th from David Botterill, John McCullough is next from Chris Dyer, and Stuart Ings wins Class 2 ahead of Mark Coberley and Andy Toon. Brian Robinson next from Jonathan Evans and Jake McAleer. Hugo Holmes, Richard Higgins, Paul Seagrave and Christian Ayres complete the runners.
Tom, what a race. I'm so made up for you, well done.
Yeah, no, it was great. I had an awful getaway, lost the clutch completely. The clutch pedal just stuck to the floor, so it was slipping like mad. So after that bad start, I was just trying to claw my way back to the front as quickly as I could. I could see Pete wasn't getting away too quickly on his new tyres, so I thought I'll stand a chance here. Then managed to reel him in and pass him, and yeah, it was a fantastic race, really enjoyed it.
Well, Pete Morris, what a battle. You couldn't quite do it in the end, but I mean, what a great race.
What a weekend. I mean, I've had battles all the way through with the Paragon lads, and I've always wanted to get close to Tom and the Hartec car, and it's the first time I've had a battle with him in about 2 years, and it's been awesome. That's all I wanted to do. And I made a couple of mistakes and he got past me. I mean, the safety car didn't help really, but what a race, yeah. So, I'm happy now. I can't wait for Alton Park so we can have another battle. I put some new rubber on for the second race, which really helped. But yeah, it's a cracking race.
And it was so close up there for so long, and such a multi-way battle for the lead.
Yes, yeah. Obviously, it took me a couple of laps, or a few laps, to get past Mark. He suddenly picked up some pace between race 1 and race 2. By the time I got past him, I could see them, but I wasn't going to catch them unless they got tangled up. Mark dropped away. I'm not quite sure why, but so the last few laps were a bit lonely, but it was good fun.
And what did the safety car? How did that complicate your race?
didn't really make a great deal of difference to us, really. It might have just tightened things up a little bit, but not we weren't that far into the race, so we hadn't got away very far.
Stuart Ings, many congratulations. What a great win in Class 2.
It was, yeah. I had to fight for it at the end, which is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you were kind of managing the gap for a while, but you did come under some pressure towards the later stages.
Yeah, I kept making some stupid mistakes coming into the chicane, and I think the more I could see Mark closing up, the more he was just going wrong, and it's a nightmare.
As we head to Alton Park, the championship looks like this. Peter Morris leads Class 1 from Mark Sumter and John McCullough. Tom Bradshaw 4th from Mark McAleer. Chris Dyer in 6th place. In Class 2, Mark Coberley still there from Stuart Ings and Andy Toon. Jake McAleer 4th from Paul Seagrave and Hugo Holmes in 6th. In Class 3, John Williams retains the lead from Jacob Ebury.
What a spectacular day's racing in the Bayliss and Harding Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. We've had a rookie take his first gentle steps into motorsport. We've had a talented driver finally find some consistency and string a couple of wins together. And it all leaves us with a championship that's still all to play for. The next round's at Alton Park. We'll see you there.